Today we'll talk about a bar chart. This bar chart question was recently given to the candidates passing their IELTS exam here in Uzbekistan. I think it was on April 6th. So we will write down our answer to this question right now. Let's analyze each of information provided here in the chart first. The question says the bar chart shows the amount of tea and coffee imported by 4 different countries in tons. The vertical axis shows the amount from 0 till 180,000, and the horizontal axis, this one here, shows 4 different countries, or information about 4 different countries. We have Canada, the UK, the USA, and Germany. All right, so the white color represents coffee and the black color represents tea. Okay, I got everything. Now, before I start writing, I'm going to make a plan of my essay first. Now, I need to pay attention to all these details because right here in the instruction, it says summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main points and make comparisons where relevant. Okay, so here, in terms of Canada, we have 20,000 versus 40,000. Okay, and here the difference is significantly huge. In the UK, the coffee importation is 20,000 tons, right? And the tea importation accounts for 160,000. Okay, it's a very huge amount here. So for the USA, it's 40,000 versus about 110,000. Okay. And for Germany, the difference is slightly very small here, right? It's 40,000 versus about 42,000 probably. Okay, I got everything I need. Now I will start writing down my essay. First off, write down the word introduction to make it clear. All right, it says here the bar chart. Well, it doesn't make real sense, so I will simply write down the word bar chart. And shows, well, again, there are thousands of words, right? Simply write down the word compares. All right, and this is the moment where a lot of people get stuck. They struggle to substitute the word amount with something better. So, I often see candidates writing the word amount, the number or quantity instead of amount, but it's a mistake. So let's make one thing clear here. The word amount is used with uncountable nouns, and number is used with countable nouns, and quantity is used with both, like countable and uncountable, but only with things, not with people. So here we can write down the word quantity, but let's try other alternatives. Like, for example, I can write the word how much when I see the word amount, okay? But I will write differently this time. The bar chart compares what? So I can say 4 countries, right? So bar chart compares 4 countries. In terms of, right? I can say in terms of the amount of tea and coffee imported or whatever, but let's use other alternatives instead of saying in terms of. What about with respect of, right? I'm sorry, with respect to. So with respect to is the synonym of in terms of, all right? And there is another one, it is with regard to. So these are synonyms. The bar chart compares 4 countries with respect to the amount of, and in the question I see the word tea and coffee, right? And I'll simply write down the word amount, imported. So the bar chart compares 4 countries with respect to the amount of tea and coffee imported. And in my question, it says in tons, which means units are measured in tons. I can simply write down the word units here. Units are measured in tons, right? In tons. Well, it is good, but I can make it different this time. 1 second. So I'll put comma. The bar chart compares 4 countries with respect to the amount of tea and coffee imported. And the expression I'm about to write right now here is a very useful one. You can use it in your own essay. So with units being measured in tons. So which means units are measured in tons. That's it. My introduction is ready. Okay. Now, overview. In my overview, I talk about the general changes. So what are the general changes here? The first one, well, I can, for example, talk about the UK because right here it shows the highest amount of tea imported, right? And I can talk about the UK again because it shows the lowest amount of coffee imported. And then I can talk about Germany in terms of coffee because it's here it's the the leader in terms of coffee importation. And then I can talk about Canada because it imports, or Canada imports, the lowest amount of tea, right? Yes. Alrighty, I got all the information I need for my overview. So I can simply write down the word overall, right? It's a typical one, but let's change it into a different one. So maybe we will say among, right, these four countries, among these four countries, okay, we will change it into something different. Instead of saying among, I can say of these four countries. Of these four countries. And now I'd like to talk about the UK. The UK, right? Maybe we can say takes the lead, or maybe is, let's make it simple, is known to be the largest, right? A person or a country that imports something is an importer. So the UK is known to be the largest importer, right? Importer of tea. Yes. And then I like to talk about coffee. While it's a good linking word, while Germany, right, takes the overall lead. So here I added the word overall in the middle of the sentence. So you don't have to necessarily write down the word overall or in general at the beginning of the sentence. It's up to you. As long as the sentence makes sense, right? You can put it anywhere. Of course, it makes sense here. Of these four countries, the UK is known to be the largest importer of tea, while Germany takes the overall lead in terms of, right? So we can write in terms of here. In terms of what? In terms of coffee importation, right? So the word importation refers to something to be imported. Of these four countries, the UK is known to be the largest importer of tea, while Germany takes the overall lead in terms of coffee importation. All right, so we provided one sentence here, but this one sentence is too short, right? It would be better to add some more information into our overview to make it stronger. So I need a linking word right now to link the first sentence with the second one. I can write the word in addition, right? In addition, furthermore, moreover, etc. So in addition, now I'd like to talk about the list, right? Amount of tea or coffee imported. So in the first sentence, I wrote tea, and in the second sentence, I wrote coffee. All right. So I will write something that is not going to repeat these two expressions, right? Yeah, you're probably thinking about what I'm thinking about now. I'm planning to write the word respectively, but I have to find a way to, add it here. So in addition, and here the importer, all right, it's so T is coming first. I can talk about Canada. All right, let's write Canada. Canada ends, and the next one is coffee in the UK. All right, Canada and the UK. I'm going to use the word import as a verb. In addition, Canada and the UK import, right? They list amount of, right? This two, can we say two here? Yes, respective, right? Instead of writing respectively is an adverb. So writing it as an adjective here. In addition, Canada and the UK import the least amount of these two respective. So we can write goods, and there is a better word, commodities. So it's a C1 level word, a substance or product that can be traded, bought, or sold. All right, that's it. So of these four countries, the UK is known to be the largest importer of tea, while Germany takes the overall lead in terms of coffee importation. In addition, Canada and the UK import the least amount of these two respective commodities. All right, our overview is ready. Now we will start writing down our first main body. In the first main body, I'm planning to write down the information about coffee, right? But as it says here, you have to make comparisons where relevant. I'm planning to first start with 40,000. So Canada, USA, and here it's better, I think, to write down about Germany as well, because the amount of Germany imports accounts for 40,000 tons as well. All right, so we will combine all of these 3 points within one sentence. And how do I start my first main body? Again, there are thousands of different ways. All right, like I said before, one expression doesn't give you a high score. It's all about the meaning that you provide in your essay. So I can simply write down the expression to begin with or in detail, but this time let's try it differently. Details highlight that, right? Details highlight that. So what is happening? T, Germany imports, right? So because it's right here, this one. And now I'd like to talk about coffee, right? Coffee. What is happening with coffee? So we can say in coffee imported by Canada and the USA, right? Okay, let's make it slightly more interesting. So Canada and the USA, they are neighboring countries. So we can say by, right, two neighboring countries. So details highlight that Germany imports and coffee imported by two neighboring countries. I can simply put comma to separate this information, or let's make it different. All right. This one is even better. All right. Details highlight that Germany imports and coffee imported by two neighboring countries, Canada and the USA. Okay. And then I have this expression, account for. You probably remember the synonyms of account for. So like make up, constitute, right? Constitute, etc. All right. Details highlight that Germany imports and coffee imported by two neighboring countries, Canada and the USA, account for the same, right? Same, okay, we can say same tons, right? Same tons. Let's make it even more beautiful. All right, the same, and this here, the amount is 40, right? 40,000 tons. All right. So by adding this number in between the word the same and tons, I'm like specifically pointing out, right? So accounts for the same 40,000 tons or account for the same tons. All right. That's it. Our first sentence of Made by the One is over. Now I can talk about Germany here because it's the main importer of coffee among these four countries. All right, and again, as maybe when it comes to now, as for is a better option. As for coffee, right? As for the coffee import, and we need to write down the linking word here. By contrast, or however, right? As for the coffee import, on the contrary, in contrast, by contrast. So what is happening? The figures for Germany, right, are so here it's about 2,000 more, right? Okay, sure. As for the coffee import, by contrast, the figures for Germany are roughly, maybe around, so the word roughly means around, roughly 2 tons higher. Okay, that's it. Yes, all right. That's over for the first main body. And in the second main body, I'll talk about UK, USA, and all this information. So details highlight that tea, Germany imports, and coffee imported by 2 neighboring countries, Canada and the USA, account for the same 40,000 tons. As for the coffee import, by contrast, the figures for Germany are roughly 2,000 tons higher. All right. The second main body. So in the second main body, I'd like to show how huge the difference here is. All right. This one is 20,000 and here it's 160,000. And mathematically thinking, it's 8 times higher, right? Yes, 8 times higher. So I will show that difference right now. And how do I add the linking word? Again, I have thousands of different options. The simple one is what is more? What is more? What is happening? The UK is the only country, right? It's the only country whose import rate of tea and coffee is or maybe we'll say shows a significant, okay, maybe a huge difference or huge gap. All right. So gap is referring to the word difference. What is more, the UK is the only country whose import rate of tea and coffee shows a huge gap. Now I will provide it in details. All right. And then as a linking word, I will use word to be more specific, right? To be more specific, coffee imported. Now I wrote the word imported several times. So let's change it. Coffee shipped maybe to the UK, right? Shipped is referring to the word imported. Is half of, right? It's because here it's half right here. Half of this one. So to be more specific, coffee shipped to the UK is half of what Canada and the USA, right? So instead of repeating the word Canada and the USA, let's write Canadians and US Americans, right? Coffee shipped to the UK is half of what Canadians and Americans, right? What do we say here? Maybe import, right? Yes, it's a good expression here, a relevant one. To be more specific, coffee shipped to the UK is half of what Canadians and Americans import. All right. So now I will give information about tea right here. All right, about tea. In comparison to, so which means compared to, right? In comparison to it's coffee, right? It's coffee imported. So I'd like to compare this one and this one, all right? So in comparison to this, then I'd like to talk about this. In comparison to its coffee imported, so what do we say? The UK imports, if I say imports, okay, let's change it into buys because it's buying anyways, right? If it's importing, it doesn't take it for free. So the UK buys, here we said the difference is 8 times. So I'll write it here, buys 8 times more tea from, so if we import something, we import it from outside, right? From abroad. And then here I can write down the amount, 160,000 tons. All right, that's it. In comparison to its coffee imported, the UK buys 8 times more tea from abroad. And the only remaining one here is the tea import of the USA. So it's about 110,000. All right. So we can use the word finally. Finally, what is happening? 110, okay. The second, right, highest importer, no, it's maybe we'll say tea importer, right? Finally, the second highest tea importer, where I can say on the list or maybe on the chart, is the USA. Is the USA, right? And how much did we say? 110,000. Okay. Is the USA with 100 and okay, we don't know the exact number, so we will use the expression around 110,000 tons. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, our essay is ready. Now I will remove this additional words from my essay because I'd like to know about how many words we wrote together. All right. So, all right. Introduction is fine. I'll remove this one and this one here. All right. And I here added makeup and constitute. I don't need them now. All right. Main body 2. All righty. So our all right. So we wrote 171 words. Did we talk about everything? The bar chart compares 4 countries with respect to the amount of tea and coffee imported with units being measured in tons. Of these 4 countries, the UK is known to be the largest importer of tea, while Germany takes the overall lead in terms of coffee importation. In addition, Canada and the UK import the least amount of these 2 respective commodities. Okay, details highlight that tea, Germany imports, and coffee imported by 2 neighboring countries, Canada and the USA, account for the same for 1,000 tons. As for the coffee import, by contrast, the figures for Germany are roughly 2,000 tons higher. Okay, so we talked about everything here. Now, following is what is more, the UK is the only country whose import rate of tea and coffee shows a huge gap. All right, whose import rate of tea and coffee shows a huge gap. To be more specific, coffee shipped to the UK is half of what Canadians and Americans import, right? Okay, this is also fine. Now, the following is in comparison to its coffee imported, right? So maybe we'll say not its coffee, but it would be better to say the amount of, right? In comparison to the amount of its coffee imported, okay, now it's better. What happens? The UK buys 8 times more tea from abroad, 160,000 tons. Finally, the second highest tea importer on the chart is the USA with around 110,000 tons. All right. So now let's recount the number of words. Okay, it's 174 words. 174 words, not bad. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. The lesson is over for now. See you next time. Bye.